It's not in your head.
Isn't.
Clear date. That mental load is real for women. It is measurable. And I just wonder what else is at play. Today, we are going to be exploring what external factors impact on women's either progression in their job roles or their personal development. Are there external factors that impact on women? And to help me talk about, we have got Rachel, our coach,
Hi.
the Fair Play facilitator, who's been amazing in the previous episode, here for us to explore that. Rachel, welcome back.
Hi, thank you for having me back.
Great to have you. Look, Rachel, we are family. We love to play it. So for me, this is practical. We've got that cards. We have sorted it. I think you use the terminology for it. What is it?
Building your deck.
So we've built, right? We've had that invitation. We've now got a system in place of how we support each other. Very adaptable for our families.
Yeah.
So we reflect our dynamics. I just want, now we kind of swap. Are there any external factors
Yes.
that impact women? And I would say probably slow women's progress down.
Absolutely, and we can unpack that today. And I think it's an interplay of the two things. I think
Yes.
it's what happens outside the home, so in the public space,
Mm.
and then how that interacts with what goes on in the private space in the family. So there's the two things together, but there's definitely things that go on outside the home
Yes.
that make it hard for women to make progress, to get to those senior leadership positions, or if they get there, maintain them and thrive in them. Yeah, the two things fit together.
That's interesting. Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Right, Rachel, let's start from the top line. What does the research consistently shows about the mental for women?
Okay, so I think we go first back to the family, and then we'll go outside the family.
Okay.
So because you have to think about the total load that a woman is carrying.
Okay.
So the first load is, what is she carrying at home? What is she carrying in the family? And the research that the Fair Play Policy Institute, together with the University of Southern California, they've done research that shows that 73% of the cognitive work at home is held by the female parent, the mum, the woman.
The conception and the planning.
Yeah, so that's the thinking about the stuff that needs to happen in the family, and then the planning it, consulting with family members, the invisible work. 73% of that is being held by mums, women. And then when you get to the doing bit, the execution bit, 64% of that work is being held by women. So before a woman even goes out into the workplace, in most families, she's already doing a massive amount of work before she puts, the suit on and goes out to the office and does her day job. So in terms of total work, we need to think about what women are already holding before they walk into the office, first thing in the morning. Then we need to look at that workload too, and how those two workloads, overload women.
And that's interesting, Rachel, just you mentioning before they even step out. I remember when I was ahead, most people asked me, how do you do it? Because they realizing, of course, I've got boys, young boys at the time, and managing a school as well. And you are right, like my shift started 5 a.m.
Wow.
and I would have done like 3 hours worth of work before getting to start my actual day job. Is that typical?
Yeah, for many women, that's absolutely typical. So we talk about the triple shift. So this was a sociological concept that came in, and it's about this idea that you do your day shift, in the job, the world of work, and then you do your second shift, which is the domestic labor. So, the shopping for the food and the laundry and the house cleaning and, the gardening and all that stuff. And then you do the third shift, which is the emotions work, kind of the relational bit about, is everybody okay? Who's sad? Who's happy? Who needs work? What relationships do we need to maybe do some conflict management? Maybe somebody's fallen out with somebody else in the wider family, and that stuff also falls to women. So that triple shift, that idea of women are doing 3 jobs, the paid job, the domestic job, and the family emotions job, that's common for so many women.
And what does the research say about external factors? So that is the family sex. What about the external at the workplace? Is that similar?
Yeah, so there's the phenomenon that in workplaces that behavioural expectations for women in the family, that they do the emotion work, that also bleeds into the workplace too. So, think about who it is in your workplace team that organises all the birthday cards for the team or organises the cakes to come in for the birthdays. In the majority of workplaces and teams, that emotions work is a woman. Or organising the socials, the outings, or let's all go out for a meal, it's coming up to kind of a big event.
We would say, who's the mother of the group?
Who's the mother of the
Who
group?
holds everyone together?
Yeah, and maybe there's some conflict brewing in the team. Who's going to be sent in to kind of mediate that conflict? Those traditional feminized roles in the family also bleed into the workplace. So we're doing a lot of invisible work at work as well as at home.
And it's something that we could change. How do you go about it? Because I'm just listening here. It's something that probably just comes to you automatically. You go and you organize it and you do it without you even realizing that that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a triple shift within the work environment.
So I one of the concepts that the Fair Play Policy Institute talks about is the she-fault. So not the default. And it's this idea that the default for many of these things is just a woman without anyone thinking about why. So it's really important to, first of all, notice that stuff. So for example, if you're in a team and it's a team meeting, who is the default note taker of the minutes?
Interesting.
Is she the she-fault?
But is it a case of the woman just go for it? I mean, so Rachel, not only are women doing all the invisible work at home, they are also doing this at work.
Yes.
What does it look like in terms of career impact?
I mean, it's not good. So if you let's just think about it, right? Let's just think through the logic of this. If you're taking on extra invisible work at work,
yes,
then you can't take on more visible work. So for example, if you are doing the minutes for the team meeting we just discussed, then let's say that takes you an hour a week, okay? And over 52 weeks, we need to account for holidays in there, but that's 52 hours that a woman is doing that a man is not doing. So then think, what is the man doing with the 52 hours? Well, maybe he's doing his MBA. Maybe he is doing some networking events. Maybe he's doing career advancement things that are visible, higher profile, higher value item than writing the minutes for the team, which could be in someone's job description. Or it could be, a rotational thing that in the team,
everyone takes
turns. Week 1 it's me, week 2 it's you, week 3 it's, and then it goes around the room and everybody has a turn because quite often nobody wants to write the minutes. So it's not a high value item.
And I think it's just the nature of women being a case of let's just do it to keep everybody happy.
Yeah. And
so you default, you just go and do it.
She-fault, combined with people pleasing,
just go and do it.
Just does it.
I mean, this is quite tricky if in a profession which is female dominated profession, then it's like you are all female, so this doesn't count, or how does that work?
Okay, so this is I think where we can get really interesting and we can look at some statistics.
Yes.
And we can think about the interplay between what happens at home and what happens in the workplace. So are you ready for some stats?
I am ready.
I've got props. I've got props.
You can prepare. I love it.
So I was thinking, what sector can we look at that is predominantly staffed by female workers?
Education.
Okay, great. That's how we met. We were both in the education profession.
Yes.
This is UK education sector. So here are my stats. So this one over here, so 76%
That's right.
of the workforce in the UK education sector is majority women sector.
Yeah, female dominant.
Yeah. Classrooms, 77% of classroom teachers are women.
No surprise there.
Okay. But then when you get to senior leadership, that's the percentage of women senior leaders. By that I mean head teachers. So the most senior roles within schools. And those numbers don't match.
Doesn't match.
So
there's another layer.
So there's something going on there, isn't there?
There is something going on there.
So what's going on? That women are in the classroom being teachers,
Yes.
Women are staffing our schools, but we haven't got a similar percentage of women that make it to senior leadership. So what's going on?
What is stopping them?
So there's the workplace stuff around, government policies about flexible working, and we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But there's also the stuff around the family. So female head teachers are still doing 73% of the cognitive load for the family and 64% of the execution work for the family.
That was me.
So many women get to mid-leadership and they look at the role above them and they go, I don't know that I can actually do all of that work. I don't know that I can do the senior role, run the home, run the family, have some me time and not burn out.
Something's got to give.
So something gives, and what gives is that we don't get enough women into senior leadership positions.
Interesting.
And this is in a female-dominated sector. So the advantage of being with women, like-minded with women, even in that sector, the stats are quite telling. If you're a male teacher and you're in the minority in the classroom, you have got a higher chance of making it to senior leadership.
Wow, that really confirms the Hypers magazine article that we spoke about in episode 2, doesn't it?
Yeah, trying to get it all done, and it's really hard, and women are making self-preservating decisions to just not go to that senior level. So that was my first prop.
Okay.
I've got more.
Revealing. Go for it. What's the next one?
My next prop is, there was a report last year, I think it was. It's called the Missing Mothers Report. So I've got some more stats for you. So this is a report that looked at teachers leaving the profession. And I think this was 2023-2024 stats. And it looked at teachers in their 30s, which is the biggest age group within the teaching profession. So teachers in their 30s makes up about 33%-ish of the teaching profession. And then it looked at that age group and it looked at how many teachers in their 30s quit the profession. And I don't mean they quit their job and they went to another teaching job in another school.
They left teaching completely.
Yeah, and they're now doing something different. This was the statistic.
Wow.
So 9,000 women in their 30s left teaching altogether.
Wow.
And 3,400, have I read that right?
Yeah.
400 men. Now, you'd expect this number to be bigger because it's a majority
that's
male profession.
sense.
And you'd expect that number to be smaller because it's still a female-dominated profession.
Right.
But I just looked at those numbers and I was like, why are so many women and also men leaving in their 30s? And then I thought about it and read the report, and it's about parenthood. You hit parenthood.
Shifts at home.
Yeah, you hit parenthood, particularly mother in your 30s. That's the time at which we tend to have families now in the UK.
Right, yeah.
And teaching as a profession is incompatible with family life.
That's right.
And so people are voting with their feet to not do the profession anymore in order to service the needs of their family.
Wow.
And that kind of really got me thinking that, again, even in a female-dominated profession, we still haven't got the workplace right to enable people, women particularly, to be successful in their profession and to be successful with their families. And people are having to choose one or the other, and because they don't feel that they can do both.
So there are systemic issues as well, external factors impacting and slowing women down in their career progression.
And we'll link to this report. It's really interesting data. If you want to read more, we'll link it for you. Missing Mothers Report. So that was my second.
Wow.
I've got one more for you.
Right. How worse can it get? Rachel.
Yes.
Now, this statistics is quite revealing, but I wonder, what about women of colour?
Okay. Out of the teaching and education sector, I'm just going to go broader in the UK.
Okay.
So if we think about, what a female teacher is facing and juggling with the family, with the job, we talked about, the problems with that and getting to senior leadership. When we talk about professional women of colour, we need to think about kind of the bigger stats.
That's right.
So not only is a woman of colour juggling the family and the workplace, she's also juggling other societal issues as well. So her load, the work that she's carrying is the family, which we know is the domestic and the emotional.
Yes.
The workplace, and then she's carrying another load as well, which is navigating racism in society. So I've got some stats for you around that as well, which is why women of colour particularly find this difficult and find this this load, this cognitive load, and all the extra work at home, even hard when they're also holding other stuff as well.
I mean, I'm glad you are looking at it on a global scale, so not just in education, but if we were to look at education, it would be interesting because we know that how the Diverse Leaders program came about, which was lack of that leadership, opportunities or representation for people of colour in the system. But let's see, what does it really look across board?
Really useful stats and some research. So Fawcett Society and the Runnymede Trust did some research. Okay. And I've got stats here and I'll explain them. So this is 75%. Okay.
Yes.
So in the UK in 2001, this is when this research was, 75% of women of colour had experienced racism in the workplace.
Wow, 75%.
75%. In different forms, but 75% of women of colour reported experiencing racism at work. So that's another load to carry.
Wow.
Dealing with the microaggressions, dealing with the discrimination. Okay? And then this one over here, this 61% of women of colour reported changing themselves in some way. You knew what I was going to say, didn't you? That might be from the words that she uses, her language. It might be her hairstyle. Right. It might even
how she dresses.
Yeah, even her name.
That's right.
Some women are reporting that they're changing their name at work in order to fit in. So there's a cultural weight to carry there as well around, And then over here, this is my final one. So this one is 42% of women of colour reported being passed over for promotion despite good feedback. So, they've done a good job, they've had a good appraisal compared to, and that's 27%.
Wow.
I'm just double checking. 27% of white women. So when you think about the total load that a woman of colour is holding with the family, with the domestic and the emotional, just the job at the workplace, this on top.
Almost feels like it's impossible.
So, every woman's experience is different. We need to think about how to just navigate the daily grind is different for different people. For many women, it's harder still. There's an additional layer on top. Being a woman's hard enough.
That's right.
Being a woman of colour is harder. Or being a woman with a disability is harder.
Totally.
For example. Or being a gay woman. Thinking about those characteristics, the 9 characteristics that are protected in the Equality Act.
Protected characteristics.
This double discrimination, this double burden that women are carrying. It's really hard work.
And I think having this conversation is a starting point for women to recognise that it's not going to stop us, but what can we do about it?
And also,
it's not in your head.
You haven't imagined it.
No.
It's not a mental trick, it's a real, and the statistics prove that it's real.
I love solution focus.
Yeah.
I think just hearing that is quite deflating to hear that. I wouldn't say that has been the case. I mean, looking at that in my career progression, but doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. What could people do to actually support themselves, to change the statistics, to look after themselves, not only at their team, but also at a professional environment? What could women do? Okay.
So I think that there's a few things that we can do. So I would recommend doing the fair play method.
Yeah.
Definitely, at home with your partner. So sorting out your family system to making sure that you're getting your unicorn time. And I've got Eve's book here, her second book. So Unicorn Space, making sure that you protect your creative time, your you time, so that you can re-energize. That's so important, and often that's the time that gets squashed the most in families. But particularly for women, and particularly if you're a woman of colour, and you're fighting that other battle against racism and discrimination, that for you is going to be even more important. So protect your unicorn space, protect your creative time.
That's important.
Really
because
important.
Protecting that unicorn space or your creative time means that you invest in yourself. Then that makes it almost like, yes, you are so good. It's there, it's visible. So this promotion do not pass you by. And if it passes, you have the opportunity or the confidence to move to a different setting.
Yeah.
And say, I'm not going to take that no for an answer. There's an alternative.
Yeah, and I think You asked about what we can do in the workplace. I think there are different things that we can do.
What could we do?
You know, asking for the flexible working, asking for the promotion. You know, the research says that as women, we're really not that comfortable negotiating.
Yes.
So ask for the promotion, ask for a secondment, ask for an opportunity to work on a high visibility, high value project. Ask. So ask for those development opportunities, ask for investment, ask for the training course. Because if you don't ask, you don't get. So putting ourselves forward, which is something that I think that many women feel uncomfortable doing. But putting ourselves forward is one. And then the noticing the inequality at work. So, you know, going back to our real example about who is it that writes the minutes for the meeting. You know, in the next team meeting, I've noticed that for the last 14 meetings I've done the minutes. I'm going to give the opportunity to another team member to take them this week.
I love that. I'm going to give the opportunity to another team member to take it. But also it's about training ourselves to step back as well, and that can be difficult.
And I think often we step
Yes.
in order to facilitate the smooth running of the team. But if we are constantly stepping forward, we're occupying space that could be taken up by somebody else in the team.
Yeah.
You know, give them the opportunity to do those things. Yeah. And then I think more broadly, it's kind of the campaigning work. Like,
that's right.
What campaigns can we join? And, you know, time is finite. We talked about in a previous episode.
Yeah.
So we know we don't all need to go on a march or invest whole weekends on doing campaign work, but what small things can we do? So there are organisations that have got online petitions that you can sign.
Yes.
They've got pre-filled emails that you can send to your MP or to the Minister for Women and Equalities. Like small things where you can be part of a bigger movement to make things better for everybody.
For our voice to be heard.
Exactly.
I also just wondered, Rachel, whether women in leadership could also be aware of the struggle to get to where they are and therefore supports other women, make things much smoother for them on their journey.
Yeah. I mean, there's a phenomenon called the Queen Bee. Have you heard of the Queen Bee?
I think you mentioned it in one of our conversations, so I remember it vaguely.
So the Queen Bee is kind of the lone female that's made it.
Yes.
But then she makes it harder for women behind her to follow because, you know, she worked really hard to get there and wants to maintain her solitary position. I think it's the opposite of that.
That's right.
The empowering female leader, you know, helping more women to climb up that ladder behind them. You know, some people talk about the old boys network. What about the new girls network? Like, how are we helping the women that come behind us to climb up so that there are more of us at that senior level? And what is it that we can do to facilitate that in another session, I think.
Wow, thank you. If this video has provided you, I would like to remind you, like it with someone who needs to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe to B3 Inspire. Our data shows that majority of the people that watch our episodes are not subscribed. Your way of supporting us with this work of empowering other women is by you subscribing. Thank you for doing that because it means a lot to us. So with all of this research, Rachel, so the mental load is compounded by other forms of inequality.
Yeah. And I think there's one thing, it's not in this research, but I read about it in 2020. It was in HR magazine. And I hadn't come across this idea before, but this idea called the emotional tax. And that was really interesting.
Break that down.
Yeah.
What's emotional tax?
I didn't know what it was either. So it's this idea that if you're a woman of colour and you're already experiencing racism in the workplace, that is taking its toll on you. And it's taking its toll on you because you're constantly alert. You're on high alert all day long, waiting to defend yourself from microaggressions, from prejudice, from discrimination. And that being on constant state of high alert takes a toll on women of colour's well-being. So, I mean, our bodies are not designed to be on high alert and to be flooded. To be flooded with that stress. You know, the flight or fight.
That's right.
We're not supposed to be in that state all day long. And so, particularly for women of colour, the emotional tax of being on high alert, constantly scanning that horizon to, prep oneself to deal with racism, means that women of colour's health is impacted. So, for example, less sleep, lower quality sleep, which leads to less time for the body to regenerate.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Then, of course, that's going to impact on your work.
Yeah.
And hence, you don't get the progression that you need because you are underperforming.
Yeah. So it's got this it blows your mind, right, when you think about it. So it's got knock-on impact at work in the fact that you're more tired, you're less able to function cognitively, less able to do your job, lower performance reviews, leading to lower progression. And then there's the knock-on impact in the family because you're still holding the domestic and the emotional.
Yes.
Yeah. So then you're less able to do those things as well because frankly you're exhausted from being on high alert all the time. So when we're thinking about women in the workplace, women in society, we have to recognize there are different forms of inequality that layer on top of the sexism.
Wow, very insightful. I think just sitting here as a woman of colour, my first take is let's sort out the home because that's where you have that control. So it's having that systems so you want to do that triple shift. At least it frees up some of that cognitive load.
Yeah.
Yes, workplace, there's work that needs to be done because some of these are systemic institutional racism and it takes more policy makers, it's much more on a higher level. But at least we can start sorting things out at home, because then there is a safety net from there.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we think about those spheres of control and influence. Like what's within my sphere of control? Well, I can renegotiate my family system. I can do that. That's within my power. I can influence what's happening at work.
Yes.
I can ask for things. I can work with others to improve policies and procedures and to set up a more inclusive culture. I can influence the government policies through campaigning and through activism. But yeah, there's lots that we can do, but the things that are systemic around us also have to change to help us to handle all of this and make it equitable, make it doable.
Amazing. But let's start small.
Yeah.
And then build it up.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Thank you. Rich,
yes.
Given all the research that we have discussed and the intersectionality, what should be the one thing that our listeners should take away from today's discussion?
I think about the systems that you're inheriting and think about, is that what you choose? Because you can choose different. You can build something different.
That's interesting. Just hearing you. Sometimes we get so concerned about doing the same thing over and over again because, of course, it's easier, there's less cognitive overload, but doesn't mean that there isn't an option. There's always an option. I love that.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. That's powerful. Making the invisible visible. There's always an option. And make conscious choice.
There's one more thing.
Go for it.
Before we do the outro, because I can see you're gearing up. I want to say to your head, it's a documented, measurable phenomenon that's having a real effect on your well-being. You're not being dramatic and you're not being oversensitive. You're experiencing a system that is not serving you. And so, don't feel bad about the fact that you might be struggling, and we're here to help and be the change.
It's an option. That leads me nicely to reminding you to like this episode, share it with someone, and don't forget to subscribe to B3 Inspire. Until next time, in our next episode, I want to remind you to build your foundation, believe in your potential, and become that unstoppable woman. Thank you, Rachel.